Wow, where am I? Anybody remember this one? This is the Bellsliner Road here. This is Mount Bell. And that's a bit of tar there from up top of the hill. I can't actually see the screen at the moment. Right, so what I did, I drove along the Bellsliner Road. I'm up here at Mount Bell. And I drive into this little thing here, see? This is the Bellsliner Road. This is the one where I took the photos, the video of the bushfires. You probably think I've got a speed camera. Now, purpose of the video. One, this is where the big bushfire went right through. Still no birds, no kangaroos, no nothing. Now, if you're a railway person or you like engineering, that's where they drilled down and blasted the dynamite many years ago. Now, Bellsliner Road was the main road from Sydney to Lithgow before they built it from Katoomba to Mount Victoria, then from Mount Victoria down through Little Hartley and Hartley, around there to Lithgow, right? So this was the main truck road. This is the one that everybody used to use, and you notice there's no traffic lights. And you can say, yeah, well, that's a stupid thing to say. No, because if you go and look at the Great Western Highway from Glenbrook all the way right up to Mount Victoria, there's traffic lights every couple of 100 yards or every quarter of a kilometre. Well, this road has got no traffic lights. The last set of traffic lights is at North Richmond, one speed camera on top of the hill at Kurrajong Heights, and then the next set of traffic lights is right out front of the Lithgow Courthouse. So this is where all the trucks went this way, and I did a story on the Pink Truck Roadhouse, and that's why it existed, because the road between Mount Victoria, the truckers used to have to turn right at Mount Victoria and come across onto the Bellsliner Road to get down into Lithgow. There was no real road that went through Hartley. There's a story down on my channel that says Little Hartley exploring the old Great Western Highway. And I go to Little Hartley and you see this narrow little road about as wide as, so the double white line there to there. And that was the 2-lane Great Western Highway. And then it goes over a single wooden lane bridge. Now do you understand? So they had this great big highway, went all the way right up to Mount Victoria, and then once it got past that it went really narrow, like this, and a single wooden bridge as wide as this dirt track. It's on the video, go down and have a look at it, exploring the Great Western Highway to Little Hartley. And that's why the truckies used to come this way, because they're not stupid. You're driving a truck, the last thing you want to do is stop at traffic lights going up a mountain range. Stop, 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 right? Duh, use your brain. So that's why they all come this way. And that's why there's a story called the old Pink Truck Stop, or old Pink Truck Stop Roadhouse, up there where the road that comes over from the Great Western Highway turns right past Mount Victoria train station and goes over there to the Pink Truck Stop, or back over to Mount Victoria, which is also Dargan, which is also the one where Yowie Hunters talk about the guy was going from Mount Victoria over to Dargan and he's seen a big black panther. So there's another bit of interesting thing, and people reckon they see these animals up here, but as you can tell, can you hear a bird? Let's have a listen. Yes, up there, a couple of little birds, but there's no birds actually flying, there's no eagles, there's no hawks, there's no nothing, there's no kangaroos, because there's nothing here. It's sandstone. Kangaroos don't like this sort of ground. I'm going to zoom out. Remember, all this here was black, and all the trees are sticking up there like sticks, like that there, right there in front. So let's zoom out. That's how that whole mountain range used to look. And you can sort of, trying to hold this steady, you can see how they were there, so especially up the top there. And this is the one where I said, see the water coming out of the sandstone after the bushfires. And what happens when it rains, sandstone is sand and water goes through it, and then it pops out of those places there like that. I think that's where it was, and the water was coming out. That's why you said that nice green grass over there. It's where the water actually comes out of the sandstone. Now, if you're into the river side of my stories, we talk about 14,000 square kilometres of water catchment behind the Warragamba Dam on the Nepean River. Now, what people don't realise, there's two Nepean rivers. There's one then to the east below the Warragamba Dam. There's another Nepean River which runs back up to another dam which actually comes from above Wollongong and down towards Kiama, way down the south coast. This is how much water comes down through Sackville, through Windsor, causing the Hawkesbury floods. So that water comes down that Nepean, 14,000 square kilometres comes down behind the Warragamba Dam, and that's why it filled up when I did the story when the drought broke and the Warragamba Dam was so empty they had to put the pontoon out in the middle of Warragamba Dam. But what people don't realise is that Warragamba Dam's been there now, nearly 50 years. A lot of sediment is built up at the base of the dam. But the dam actually goes back for many, many miles. I just got stung with something. I hope it wasn't a tick. Anyway, and then when it comes down past the Warragamba Dam, joins up with the eastern Nepean River. You go look it up on the maps. And then it comes down through Penrith, and then it comes from Penrith, it comes down to Yarramundi, which is also the name of a children's show on the ABC TV, right? Yarramundi Kids. So you can go and work that out. And that's where the Grose River meets the Nepean River. It's getting back to this. This is what I'm on about. So then the Grose River then runs into the Nepean at Yarramundi, or Grose Wold, on the other side, Yarramundi and Agnes Bank. So there's 3 points because there's two rivers meet and form one, which is then called the Hawkesbury. The Hawkesbury River then runs down in past through North Richmond, down across the lowlands, Cornwallis Road and all the rest. And then it goes down through Sackville between the two mountain ranges. You've seen me do that symbol before. Like this, exactly the same as that. So you've got 14,000 square kilometres of floodwater trying to get through a steeper mountain range than that. It's actually virtually vertical. And this floodwater can't get through, and it all banks up way back like that. So that's why Liverpool gets flooded, and Warrington and St Mary's and Luddenham and Bringelly and Landilo and Riverston and Schofields and the back of Quakers Hill, almost into Blacktown. All that gets flooded because you've got over 20,000 square kilometres of floodwater. Right, so then it runs down to Hawkesbury, goes down through the Sackville 2 rock faces. It then comes around the corner at a town called Lower Portland. Now, Lower Portland, it meets up there with the Colo River, C-O-L-O, Colo River. And I've done a story on the Putty Road through Colo Heights and Colo, Upper Colo. And, well, this here comes into the Colo River. Now, you say, well, hang on, if I'm on the Bellsliner Road west of the Blue Mountains, west of Sydney, Hawkesbury's directly there, well, the water's got to go that way, head north, before it gets into the Colo River, and then it turns right and then comes down the Colo, Lower Portland. Then it fills up the floodplains at Wiseman's Ferry. Now, there's a Channel 9 or Channel 7 news story, Wiseman's Ferry gets flooded. And people say, why would Wiseman's Ferry get flooded when it's right down there by the ocean? It's only 10 kilometres or 20, 30 kilometres from the ocean, and it's extremely tidal from the ocean. Well, this is why. All this water from all these mountains up here, and all the Warragamba Dam, all the Nepean River, and all the Grose River, all go down through Wiseman's Ferry, and then come out of the mouth of the Hawkesbury, down there at Brooklyn, down at Hawkesbury River, underneath the big railway bridge, where you see the steam trains 3801 had that train crash about 20-30 years ago, and a train ran up its rear end and somebody got killed. That's the Hawkesbury River Bridge. That's why. So this is why I'm showing you this video. Can you imagine the amount of rainwater that comes out of all these mountains up here? This goes down the Colo River. People think it goes down to Hawkesbury. It doesn't. This goes down the Colo. So, but once I get on the other side of that hill, it goes down the Grose River. That's right. The Bells Line of Road is the boundary line. So let's say this stick here is the Bells Line of Road. So the water on this side goes down the Colo. The water down this side goes down the Grose River. And then when we come around the next boundary line, we've got the water comes down the Nepean, down to the Warragamba. And then down below Warragamba, it's like that. You've got two Nepeans come in, and Warragamba Dam's about here. And then this one here comes all the way down there from the top of Wollongong and all the way down to Kiama and the Blowhole. So as far away as water from Kiama in the mountain ranges meets up with water from here, and as far northwest as Mudgee, Golgong and places like that, all comes back down and comes out to Hawkesbury. And Golgong to Kiama is 400 kilometres, maybe more. Go look it up. If you don't believe me, go and look on the maps and you'll see the blue lines of these creeks, and you'll see how far they run for miles and miles and hundreds of miles. That's how I learned it. That's how I learned it. I actually looked on the Google Earth map and I followed all the blue lines. So I hope that just lets you realise why the Hawkesbury at Windsor floods. Because when this floods here and goes down, fills up the Colo River, it fills up the Hawkesbury, which then backlogs the Hawkesbury River coming through Sackville, which means Windsor and Richmond therefore then go underwater, which means then it backlogs up to Penrith and puts Penrith underwater. So it's a domino effect. You know the good old saying, domino effect. Anyway, see you later. Mr. Hominoid up here in the Blue Mountains. Isn't it lovely? Mount Bell. So there's the famous 3 power poles. Look, you really want to see how ferocious this bushfire was? Look at the amount of rainwater that's been down here since. Look at that, check that out. See, I go places where other YouTubers don't go. I go into places that people never ever see. How many millions of people have driven right past this little dirt track and never even stopped to have a listen, to smell, and just feel the air and look at the mountain ranges. It's absolutely beautiful. So if you come out to Australia and want me to tell you about some of these places, I'll tell you. See you later from Mr. Hominoid. MrHominoid@gmail.com if you want to write me an email. Got a new email address. MrHominoid@gmail. Here he comes. Here comes another one. Have a listen. He's coming up the mountain range. See you later.